Braydon Saunders for a tour. Hey, Bruz, good morning.
Hey, brother, how you going?
Yeah, good. So good to have you, my maestro.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I know we were trying to figure it out a couple of weeks ago, but it's worked out well. We've got a spring cleaning day at Tayrak at the restaurant today, so it's closed down. So I've got to be out there a little bit earlier this morning. So perfect.
True. It sounds like you're flat out. Have you been ever this busy in your life?
No, nowhere near. And it's funny because I wanted it. I wanted to be busy, and now it's like, what have I done?
Yeah. Tell us about a bit who you are, your mob, where you grew up, and we'll get into some more things.
As I said, Braydon Saunders, Gunditj Mara man, grew up on country down in Hayward, Victoria, the 3304 down here, and was back and forth between Hayward and Ballarat when we were younger, but always wanted to come back here. So was happy to move back. There's my mum's a Lovett and my father's a Saunders, my grandmother lives in Ballarat there, so we have to go back every now and again to say hello to her. But always loved living in a little town, and just going out and getting access to these cultural places at such a young age, and still allowed access today. Going out, and obviously there's a bit of a break there with COVID, but it's been good to really jump back into it this year.
Is it really? Is it interesting that you find that that people? It's a lot of media jumps on things, but have you found it always interesting? Were you always taught about eels and your land down that way? Did you always know about it, or are you discovering stuff as you're digging deep into?
100%. Still discovering, still learning, still. I think we all are as a mob, still trying to figure out sort of the story as technology gets better, the story gets better. We get to find more and more out about things, and we've got a great team that's still out there figuring more things out. But certainly getting passed down stories from uncles, aunties, mothers and fathers when I was younger, it was really important. I mean, that whole that whole sort of verbal history throughout Australia is what sort of shoots us to the top. The fact that our stories, can outlive everyone. So, that's what I've really latched onto, and I always love being a storyteller. So,
yeah, that's brilliant. We need more fellas like that, that they've got no shame and get up there, and
that's it.
Especially the young mob, you look at the old ones and they're always yapping. You're like, oh yeah, cool, but we've got a little bit of shame when you're younger, But it's good. It's good. BUDJ BIM. Is that how you say it? BUDJ BIM.
That's how you say it. Some people will say, no, it's BUDJ BIM. I think BUDJ BIM, it's nearly tomato.
Yeah.
I think really that the BUDJ probably sounds more like our dialect down here. It's just because we've gotten more used to being English speakers. We say things that look like English words, like BUDJ BIM. Yeah.
Am I right? And did I read that? What does it mean in Gunditj Mara country?
It's high head.
High head. I got big head. I got big head somewhere.
Well, big head. Big head works well too. High head probably sounds smarter.
Tell us a little bit about these wonderful tours. Everyone's obviously talking about eel, thinking, and it got really put on the plate as being this place that's farming, regenerating, harvesting eels. We don't see eel very often on a menu. I don't know anyone in my world that's ever dropped eel on my plate when I've gone over for dinner. But tell us about the fascination about eel. Tell us a little bit about the eel.
Yeah, so the tours that we do are sort of we do them a half day now. We used to do the full day one, but we brought it back to the half day just to manage it a little bit easier. And they're the ones that people are doing as well. So we've got a half day one that takes people around and shows them how we traditionally caught eel, and sort of the whole manipulating of the movement of water so that we could control sort of where eels were going to be and where they could stay locked into places out in the landscape, and we have access to them.
Wow.
The mob noticed quite early that with eel, they're a very sort of oily sort of meal, the eel. So the best way to eat it is to smoke it and draw all of them oils out, and sort of preserve the meat for longer, and you're able to then trade with it. So it became an important trade commodity, and it was really sort of full meal once you had 6 inches of eel easily to a person for 4 to 5 days. They would sort of live off the richness in the eel. So it was an important commodity back then. And what we do is we show people how and why it was so important. The fact that we could control the movement of eels out on the landscape in certain areas, and then the permanent housings and stone huts, villages that surround these little eel farms, that aquaculture systems that the mob were using to harvest. So we paint the picture for them for half the day, and then sit down and give them some lunch. And it's sort of it's not a part of the tour, but it's almost like once you go around talking all day about eel, everyone wants to try some eel. Good. And there's some families that come out and they have sort of younger kids who they won't like it, and they end up just getting into it and absolutely loving it. So yeah, it's a never, you can't knock it till you try it sort of thing. So
totally.
Yeah, if you haven't tried it, you'll love it once you do.
Can you explain a little bit more in depth about what you're talking about manipulating the waterways?
Yeah, so it's sort of it's hard to explain unless you get out there and see some of these fish traps. And over the years, it's gotten easier and easier because you pick little things up. I think the best way to explain it is we've seen the fact that there was a lava flow that came across the landscape. Now people tell the story of this lava flow or this eruption of the volcano. It might be best to start there because without this, we wouldn't be able to manipulate the movement of the water. So
sure.
The volcano erupted. Our people seen that this volcano was more or less a spirit creator or a creator being. His name was BUDJ, and he sort of spewed his blood and his teeth out across the landscape because he seen that our people were struggling to live that sustainable lifestyle. So he changed it for us, and we had to pivot, and we had to figure out a way to, move water or live off the landscape, this new lava flow, sophisticated landscape. And it had to take some time for it to sort of realize what sort of landscape it wanted to be. It wasn't something that happened like that. It took a while for it to get to a point where water was actually sustainably holding up in certain areas, and now people notice this and notice that if we use fire, we can actually start to dig out sort of channels through the basalt and start to
that's crazy.
Manipulate that water. So
that is crazy. So what's going on here, bros?
Well, this one's actually a different one. This one's from like the 1880s.
What?
But it's from white fellas that made this. So this is sort of like what we do, but on a much larger level. So this one here is actually a sheep wash that they made out at Bessie Bell. A lot of the sort of mob, the idea came from what the mob were doing out there, manipulating of the water. But to the left of it, to the left and down, there's like a sinkhole that is formed from the actual the lava flow, sort of over thousands of years, no longer having molten lava move underneath it, and it collapses down. And the white fellas realised that it filled up at certain times of the years, and they went and put this channel through. They built up on either side. A lot of the mob would work on these stone walls and whatnot, but it's all just dry stone walling that came over from Europe.
Wow,
wherever else.
Man, I've seen this photo kind of punched around a fair bit, and from a first glance, I thought you had an eel in your hand. Until right now, that ain't an eel. But it looks like the kind of length of an. Is this what's going on? Is this a net of some sort?
This is a basket. So, Auntie Sandra Aiken actually made that one for us, and she made 5 for us, and just showing the family there about the how it was used. But basically, that big lip at the front would be sitting on the ground, and the whole sort of attracts a flow into middle of it. And then eels go down and right down, they get right to the end, and sort of the last, 5-10 centimeters of that basket is really tight. And it has a small hole on the end of it. So when big eels come up, they can't get through, but little eels can. They can keep going. So the small hole sort of makes it so that then big eels come up. Once it's really tight, their head's sort of surrounded by the basket. They can't turn around or swim backwards. So
is that good? Is that good to let the little ones through, because they're probably too small and you want them to grow
too small.
It's like fishing, bros. Too small, throw it back. Ain't gonna feed no
But
one.
in saying that, if you had a big one that's already plugging the hole, the little one comes up the side of it, it's not going to be able to turn around either. So the little ones were good because they were easier to just chuck on the coals of a fire. The big ones, you need to smoke and actually give it and draw out all of that oil that's in them. So the littler ones have less oil.
Yeah, right. Is eel oil traded?
Somebody asked me this. I've been asked this a couple of times now, and I hadn't heard of it before.
Yeah.
I've got a eel guru that I might have to ask.
Yeah. I mean, oils is such a powerful thing to have. I mean, I'm guessing. Is eel a fish, or what? Is it eel? It's a water animal?
Yeah, it's a fish. So they've got like gills, but they also do sort of breathing through their skin as well. So it's really, they're a really weird animal, and we've just started talking about putting together an eel research facility on Gunditjmara country to see whether or not we can learn more about eels. Because as it goes on, you learn more, but you have more questions than answers. And if you've been out on the tours, we've talked about that being the problem.
Yeah. Hey, I got some questions popping up in the chat here. What's your favourite thing on the menu? Thanks, Kung Funk Panda.
Oh, favourite thing.
Now, first of all, have you tried everything? You tried everything?
I've tried.
It's a tough part of the job, isn't it, when you just got to eat everything?
I think one thing that's I can't say that because it's not on the menu, but Ricky does arancini balls.
What is it?
Eel arancini, smoked eel arancini.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Ricky North's a Gunditjmara man who lived in Melbourne for all of his life, but had the opportunity to come down here and work on country, and jumped at it, was able to move down and put together a deadly menu about 8 hours before we opened. So
yeah, true.
He put together something that's worked out well. And the eel arancini balls is probably the best thing. It gives you a bit of different culture and our own culture and puts it together. Everyone loves it too.
There's some great comments here coming in the chat. This is great. This is live, peeps. So if you want to ask Braydon a question while he's on here, we've got another 10, 15 minutes too. Throw them in the chat there, and we'll pass them over to Braydon. We're here with Braydon Saunders, tour maestro of down at Tayrak. Is it down at Tayrak, or is that the cafe?
Yeah, no, it's basically at Tayrak there. So it's sort of separate from the national park. But yeah, Tayrak there is where we want people to come to and get down to, for sure.
Tell us what's going on down in space. Sounds like there's multiple things going on. You got tour guides, cafes, you got places going on everywhere. It sounds like it's a lunar park.
Yeah, so because it's sort of right next door to the base of the Gunditjmara Traditional Owners Aboriginal Corporation, which is the sort of rap group for us down here. And they've done a lot of good work at helping us get up and running. And, they've got sort of World Heritage Rangers do a lot of work out on country in terms of keeping up the standards of the way that we culturally care for country and the way that the Western world cares for country. It's implementing them with the fact that we do cultural tours out there, and them sorts of things we can talk about. One of the new cool things that they've been able to do is get together a Ween Yalkeen officer at Gunditjmara, which is a fire dreaming officer. And they went and purchased their own fire truck that one of the fire departments is selling. And
right.
They've got it wrapped in an Indigenous design, which is from the 1872 possum skin cloak.
Wow.
The crew gets around in that and sort of manages different fire regions that need some fire and sort of do cultural burns with the big fire truck. So It's
Yeah,
deadly.
true.
They're just one-upping each other all the time now. So
It's so good. I've got another question in the chat here. I reckon this might actually be your brother. Is your brother Mr. NAIDOC 2019? Chris, is that you on is he Kung Funk Panda? Are you Kung Funk Panda? I know you, Chrissy. Is that Chrissy?
him.
I bet you that's
That
Chrissy
is him.
sitting there worming his way in, pretending to ask some random question about the menu, then drops in, hey,
Yeah,
give us a shout out.
that is definitely him.
Hey, bros, how did you fall into this job?
Yeah, so I left, I'm 22 and I left school about 16 and started working sort of 2 to 3 days a week. And that was with the BUDJ BIM Rangers,
Yeah, cool.
which they were doing sort of tours on the side. And I was a pretty good show off and, you know, noisy and whatnot in school. So I always knew that was what I wanted to do. And only Maud Alberts sort of done them tours out there and was able to, you know, bring me in and take me out on tours. And yeah, that was deadly to do that. And I think I did that for 3 years. And then I wanted to do more of the tourism and do it a full-time, full week thing, 24/7 sort of out there on a Saturday, Sunday, because that's when people, you know, come down to visit. So fortunately, there was the Good Engineering were, you know, starting up this new business, and it was a venture into the tourism world, and they've been able to get some good handiwork from Kiwi Traveller, which do sort of Indigenous tourism right around the nation, and they create the product for that Indigenous group, and they sort of build them up, and then once they're good, they sort of, you know, can take off. And we've been with them for 3 or 4 years now, so it's been good to sort of learn from, you know, people who've been in the tourism world, and especially the Indigenous tourism world, and set ourselves up to be successful down here in Southwest Victoria.
You recently did what was like a little an exhibition up in a couple of weeks back. You had at a stall. You won stall of the exhibition or something like that? That's so cool.
It was like tourism and traveller sort of stall. Yeah, it was the first time we've ever done it.
That's great.
First time I've ever done it, anything like that. And it was
it's great.
Just me out there, and it was lucky that the Footy Carnival was on the same weekend, so people, they were just up the road at Keysborough, and I was at Sandown Park, so I was lucky enough that there was actually, you know, some family that come in and got me through that Sunday and Saturday, so that was deadly. But yeah, there's another one that's set up in Bendigo, so if there's any mob around Bendigo, I think it's the 17th and the 18th. In the 19th maybe. So we're doing the Bendigo Leisure Fest. I can't remember what the name of the park is there, but yeah, Bendigo Leisure Fest, 16th through the 19th, and we're doing the same thing. So hopefully we go back to back and win another tourism stall. Yeah,
what's it like out there? I mean, you got two kind of offers. One, people come to you and they're on your turf, but going out there in the middle of exhibitions when there's probably no other little stalls like you, is it? What's the response? People just stopping and going, "What the heck is going on here?"
Yes. So many people just stop and ask, like, because I usually have the basket with me, and they go, "Oh, what is this? What is this?" And it's funny seeing like kids walk past, like double looking, thinking, "What is that?" And then I sort of invite them over to tell them what it is and whatnot, and give them a bit of that spiel about what they can learn and what they can get, and it's crazy seeing people's sort of reactions from thinking it was something completely different to realizing that it's this. And there was one lady who walked up to me and sort of told me how deadly it was, and that she's been here, and, you know, that she loved it. And I was like thinking, oh yeah, this lady's, you know, she's been here a couple of times. And then she walked off and said, yeah, I love the Kimberleys, and kept walking. And I went, like, she thought we were the Kimberleys the whole time. And I looked back at the photo that we had, and it's like real green and not a lot of water. And I looked at a photo of the Kimberleys, and it's got waterfalls and desert.
She just seen the postcard behind you.
Yeah, she just seen blackfellas and thought it was from WA, because that's where all blackfellas are from, apparently.
Hey, Braz, what does it feel like for you personally, you know, talking about your culture every day?
It can be like at the start, I remember it being an emotional journey because you touch on it so much and you get caught up in it sometimes. But now that I've got sort of a layout of the things I want to talk about and understand the importance of talking about and things in order, it's so easy to just say it like a story. But sometimes I forget about the power in the Gunditjmara mob to go through all of this and then come out at the end and get World Heritage and still want more, still want to shoot for the stars time and time again. So my dad was one of the first tour guides down here.
Oh,
and,
true.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger and seeing people draw to the fact that he talked about culture, with such passion. That's what I wanted to do. And I remember asking him when I started this job, what did you want to do when you sort of, when you first started? And he goes, we just wanted to teach people culture and give them a feed. And I said, well, that's exactly what we're going to be doing, just with a couple more dollars in the bank. So
yeah. Nah, it's great. It's good to see the funding going towards it, because obviously it's a big hurdle of getting our culture in the mainstream, Matt. But it's great to hear that you're enjoying it and people are respecting it, and there's just genuine, excitement about getting down there, because it's a long way to go. You got to have a key. You got to have something, for a reason to go down there, But I know that a lot of mob are going down there. Braydon, I've got another question here. Wol. Don't know if you know a Wol. That's what his Twitch name is. Have you ever seen a net? What's a net? These fellas coming on here. These big fellas getting on here giving us a rev up or what?
I don't know who Wol. It's weird because that's my mum's middle name. It's Wendy Ann Lovett, and that was her password on Facebook back in the day. So I don't know if it's her or not. But the 36 throws me off. So I've never seen a net. No. Have you heard the story or the old story of the little hairy men that run around?
No, I haven't. Go.
They run out of the mission. They're hairy men. Mum used to tell these real deadly stories about them and scare the living Christ out of all of us. And I'm not just talking like me. I'm talking generations above me. 2 or 3 generations above me. Mum was still tearing them. Yeah. So no, I haven't seen a net. My brother Troy has them.
But now we know your mum's password for Facebook.
I don't know if it is anymore.
It's hard to change it. I hate trying to come up with new passwords. Like, well, I've had that one for 15 years, and I've got to think of something. I've got to remember it again.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little, while we're on stories, can you give us a snippet of what your little script is of a tour? Put us on a tour right now. Like, where would we be, and tell us a little bit about it. I might be putting it on the spot, but where would we be if we're walking through an area?
Oh, it's so hard.
It's hard without proper images.
It's hard without being out there. It's also hard with people that know it, sort of thing. But
I'll see if
one of the sort of really cool stories that I do towards the end is link up every aspect that I've spoken about Gunditjmara people, from the first blokes and women who decided to go out and live that sustainable lifestyle in one area, and then when they seen them white sails rock up on the shores, and then when they sort of fought back against them white sails, and then when they were all gathered on the mission, and then they went to war, fighting wars that they didn't have to go fight in, and then they ran in front of bulldozers and started native title talks in the 1980s. And
this is good, bros. This is good.
And then the World Heritage, and I always sort of point out, whatever sort of animosity that our people face, there's always animosity that our people face. There's always demonstrations of Gunditjmara, what we call the fighting Gunditjmara, resistance fighters.
This is where it comes from, huh?
Yeah, who stood up and fought back and sort of raised that bar. So yeah, I always sort of talk on that and sort of touch on the fact that there's different stages of adapting to a new lifestyle, and that's what we are good at as First Nations people. They can throw something in our face, but we always adapt to it and change and pivot and find a way to make it work.
And amazingly, which is not talked about enough, is we don't get revenge.
No, yeah, exactly.
Those silly fellas all around the world fighting around over oil and stupid greed and stuff, and we got every right to have revenge, if you want to call it a right, but we still sit here and peacekeepers and sharing our
Yeah.
culture, and now everyone's interested, are you now? But we still we don't sit there and go, hey, we don't shut the door. But that's probably a big reason why there is some hesitance at times, people sharing their culture. But it's nice that you got this platform where the invitation's been out there and people are committing to coming in and learning. And Jane, who went on it, just wrote, it's not just about the eels, it's about listening and learning through storytelling while walking across country. Get down there, book Braydon as your guide. Are you not the only guide, are you? People stealing your role?
No, I think there's me and a couple of other guides as well, and we've just put out what is it? A job application. Yeah. So there's a couple of other tour guide positions that are up for grabs at the moment. So we just need some more full-time tour guides. But at the moment, I am the only full-time tour guide. So it's been fun.
Let's steal one more story off you, Braz. What's going on here?
Yes, this is another art installation that took the inspiration from things like the Bessabel sheep wash that Auntie Vicky Cousins and Carmel Wallace done in 2008. So I was only about 8 years old, so I wasn't working on it. So
true.
I was younger, but it was an art installation put there. It points towards New Caledonia, which is where our wheels go out to breed, which is a crazy story in itself. I need a little bit more time to tell that one.
True.
But it was done to there was an old farmer who owned the property before we got it back, and he just piled up all these stones that would have possibly been stone huts at one stage, but he wanted to clear the country of stones for his cattle and sheep. So we decided that we didn't like the look of all these just piles of stones, and Auntie Vicky and Carmel Wallace, two artists, got together and designed a dry stone wall, a nod to the dry stone wall, whilst also telling a bit of a story of the fresh and salty. So the spiral goes up and around. That's our freshwater systems that we trap our eels in, and then these front ones are the waves that bring our little eels back. And bring it back into the system. So that's out at Curtinage, which is what we call Crossing Place.
Now, are those areas available to people to walk up to, these public, or is it's all protected?
They're all on private tours,
Gotcha.
So you'll have to do a guided tour to head out to them spots.
So good. How are tours going at the moment? It's a bit wet out there, but hopefully it dries up a bit, or is it still rock and roll down there?
No, there's people still coming in. We've done what's today, Friday? So the last 2 days, we've done 3 different tours on each day. So we've got a 2-hour tour, which is, shorter, and that leaves at 10 a.m., 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. So people can come there and do that if they want. But then there's a half-day one that leaves at 9:30 and then comes back at about 1 o'clock. So over the last 2 days, them tours have been running flat out there. So me and the tour guides have been full on.
Well, hopefully a little bit more full on after this yarn too. We've got plenty of listeners here that have never heard your story, Braz. Probably something they don't know is you don't mind shaking a leg every now and then too.
Yes.
You do a little bit of you do a little bit of dancing too, bit of tradition. You slip a little bit of dancing in.
Haven't had the time to do it, but
you dancing with Troy and that mob.
Yeah, Troy and Shay Rodimer too down there shaking a leg with the dance crew. But yeah, Troy Lovett, my older brother, he's been running the dance group for a while now. Right. I remember when we were little and learning to dance, and then I think he left, and all of them, all the older cousins left as well. So it fell on the loudest and the most show-off one, most likely to show off, to run the dance group, and I was the youngest out of all of them. So that was fun. But no, we the dance group's still going around.
It is.
So many young kids in Portland, Hayward, and Hamilton that are coming out and shaking a leg with us too, which is deadly. So it's good to get the crew together every now and again.
Man, I know we might talk about this often, but it truly is an inspiration seeing you. I know all your mob down Haywood Way and your BUDJ family would look up to you so much. But it's even more beautiful to hear that it's been passed on from your dad. That's so cool. Like, you got children of your own?
No.
Don't say. You got to pass it on to
No.
someone. Nah, but
We
it's
got
deadly,
heaps of
bro.
nephews and nieces though, so
They're all looking up to you, bros. It's a brilliant thing.
that's it.
Yeah.
They'll be out there soon.
Keep showing up, man. Keep showing up. It's beautiful. Well, bros, it's really good to talk to you. Hey, I've got to put you on the spot. You got a song? You got a song you want to request? While I try and find, I'm going to put up the website here. You can go over to BUDJ BIM or BUDJ BIM, BUDJBIM.com.au, people, and you can book a tour with any tour guide. But if you want to pick Braydon, put in the comments. I know Braydon. Saw him in the RGR. We've got lots of listeners in today at the moment. We're up to 20, which is usually a lot more than what we have this morning. So thanks for bringing the crowd, bros. What's your song?
I have no clue.
No clue.
What do you play?
We'll play anything. It's Friday jam session, so you can play whatever you want as long as it's got no swearing in it.
No
So
swearing.
you can't play basically 95% of Briggs's catalogue. But yeah, go to budjbim.com.au and you can click over. You can click over here while Braydon's thinking of a song. You can go to the BUDJ BIM. You can book a tour right here. Looks good. Great site. Lots of videos. The cultural walks over here. The 2-hour walk. Stone Country half day here. And you got the full day tours there. School groups. Hey, teachers in the house. Book some school stuff. That's a great idea. A great idea. And we've got some gift cards there too. I bought you some time, bros.
Is it any song at all?
Any song, bros?
I've got a good song. It's
Yeah,
by Uncle Andy Alberts.
Yeah. Hopefully it's on here.
Gundage Mara Land. See if it is it on sort of Apple Music.
Andy Alberts. Here we go. I've got Condemnation Kids. This Town, Dancing on Earth. I think it looks like his Life and Land album.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is Gundage Mara Land should be on there.
It's not on here. What about? Let's go. Condemnation Kids. Let's try.
That's the one. That's his best one.
Hey, bros. Great to have you. You're the man.
Cheers, brother.
See you, man.